Please forgive Christian Horner, Lord, for he knows not what he does. He's dramatically underestimated both the intrinsic and substantive value, market value too, of one Adrian Newey, only one of the goatiest F1 minds that have ever F1'd. I can't believe that as of April 2024, The Guardian writes an article talking about emergency talks between one Christian Horner and one Adrian Newey after all of the blustermind. Lest we forget that the likes of Pierre Vacher were talking all this stuff on Twitter about the Aero team and their ability to act in a way independent of Adrian Newey. The insinuation being that they don't need him, that Weiss is irreplaceable. Were he to leave, things would go on BAU, that they would be able to manage. And it sounds daft on face value, but it only gets dafter because Christian Horner, for the past few months, every time he's had a mic put in front of his face, he said words to this effect when talking about the Aero team. Adrian is of course a key member of the team, but were he to go away, we would manage. We've fostered talent, we have a young team, and they'd be able to act independently of one Adrian Newey. Max Verstappen has said similar things. And so I don't know who I'm dealing with as far as Christian Horner as at April 24. I will be honest with you, because Christian Horner for the longest time has been the political god, tier one, right? As far as team principles, he's the one that finessed Michael Massey in 2021 into making one of the worst, most polemic, most controversial decisions that's ever been made in all of sports history, the finessed one. Christian Horner is the one who has managed Adrian Newey, who's not difficult to not the most difficult or easy to manage, by the way, but he's managed him really well, hasn't he? No micromanage him, allowed him to work in a silo and get on with whatever he wants to do. Oh, you want to go around the world on a boat, Adrian? Have at it, sir. You want to just design yourself a supercar for Red Bull and Aston Martin Valkyrie before? Have at it, sir. Christian has been fantastic. Let me tell you who Christian Horner is, or has been erstwhile. Eddie Jordan, with a view to foster rapport with the journos up and down the country, used to hold a team principal press party each and every single year, so that all the press would come and party and drink, of course, to foster rapport and make sure that any press written about Jordan or Jordan's team was in a positive light. This is how you manage clients, right? And Jordan was brilliant at it. There is one current team principal on the grid who does a similar thing. Chat, you guys tell me who this is. Which one of those guys currently team principal on those 10 teams currently on the grid in 2024, which one of them has a similar thing, a press party, so that they can manage and foster rapport? Christian Horner, of course. He's the only one that still does this, an annual party. Plus, every race weekend, or as near as makes no difference, you guys can see this dude holding these hospitality parties over the course of the race weekend. Hospitality dinners too, at which, of course, all of the Sky Sports F1 broadcast team and commentators are invited to. This is the type of dude that we're talking about as far as managing and fostering rapport. He's absolutely god tier. So how are we here then? This doesn't make no sense. If Christian Horner is who we think he is, politicking extraordinaire, ability to manage rapport of press and media, then how did we even get here? Lest we forget as well, for the avoidance of doubt, last year after the Brazilian Grand Prix, allegedly, when all of these allegations kicked off, what did Christian Horner do? They couldn't even catch him for post-race interviews post the Brazilian Grand Prix last year. Because on hearing about these allegations coming down the pipeline, what did Christian do? He flew straight out to Thailand to have a meeting, allegedly, with the Tayavida family, who own 51% of Red Bull GmbH, for Pete's sake. That's who he's managing. That's who we're dealing with as far as the level of politicking. He understands intrinsically. So it's to my surprise then that over the past few weeks we hear rumblings about the way that he's mismanaged one Adrian Newey and his wife, because these guys, Adrian and his wife, come as a package deal, lest we forget. You manage Adrian's wife with a view to manage Adrian's stakeholder, lest we forget, for the avoidance of doubt, that this chap is one of the goatiest F1 minds to have ever F1. Manage then Christian Horner, his missus' stakeholder, Amanda Newey. Manage it. That's what you need to do, Christian. But he hasn't done it. And here's how we know he hasn't done it, because Amanda wanted paddock passes, didn't she? Courtesy of Red Bull hospitality. What did Christian do? Christian denied all access. What do you mean? Who are we dealing with here, Christian? Team principal who holds annual press, dinner and party. It doesn't math, does it? That behaviour isn't commensurate with who we know Christian Horner to be. It's almost like deliberately he was trying to put Adrian Newey in his place, trying to reconfigure the balance of power on the back of all the internal wrangling. Austria and Salzburg versus Horner and the UK, Milton Keynes, as Christian Horner desperately wanted to leverage British financiers with a view to spin off all of F1 technologies as far as Red Bull racing is concerned, so that he can become Toto Wolff of Red Bull. That's techie. But yet and still, it's to my surprise that he hasn't been managing this in real time. Get Adrian Newey's misses paddock passes, surely. And then the coup de grace in and of all this, the fact that the PA of Christian Horner, the allegations are swirling around. That PA is also the PA of Adrian Newey. So you can imagine it is only to Adrian Newey's discontent. Let's go through them. All of the chat from Pierre Vacher talking about they'll be all right if Adrian Newey leaves. Matthew Brown, you're far too kind. Christian would rue the day where he had all the pieces in place to rule F1. Mate, this is the point. Pride goeth before the fall. Give Adrian anything. No. Matthew Brown of NC Paddock F1. You take the words right out of my mouth. So catch this. Exhibit A then. Pierre Vacher et al. Talking down, no, trivialising and minimalising the contribution of Adrian Newey in front of the world's press and media. Exhibit B. Christian Horner didn't get the paddock passes for Adrian Newey's missus, Amanda Newey. How very dare you? How do you think that's going to go down with Adrian Newey, particularly as he already feels trivialised and minimalised as far as his contribution to the team? Do you know who Adrian Newey is? You guys tell me in the chat if there is an F1 mind that's better suited to managing and mitigating for this current rule set, for building a ground effect car capable of dominating the rest of the field, then I don't know of that person. There is only one person today who is capable of that. He has a name, and his name is Adrian Newey, for Pete's sake. Adrian, since we understand this per the Guardian article, has gone out and tested the market right, as you do. Go out and see my worth. Currently, he's valued at 10 million a year per Red Bull. That's how much he's getting paid. That, if you ask me, is an absolute steal. That's the steal of the century. Adrian Newey, for Pete's sake. Man who studied ground effect at university in sports car. Man who built the Leighton House 881 God tier ground effect leverage. Man who's won the most championships of all aerodynamic bods. Holy smoke, what are we doing? What I think we're doing is underestimating. And I think you're right, Matthew Brown of NC Paddock F1. I think you're right, sir. That I think Christian Horner, knowing him as we do, and his ability to politic his way out of any situation, I think he's trying to create Red Bull in his own image, and he's critically, no, acutely aware of the over-influence that one Adrian Newey has. Every time we're on Sky Sports F1 and we're talking about the MVP, the consensus is that it's Adrian Newey who you pick over Max Verstappen, over Lewis, over Alonso, over all of them combined. The most important piece in this chess puzzle that we call F1 as far as success, if you're looking to win championships, one Adrian Newey. And Christian Horner cannot like that, nor does Pierre Vacher. But they're moving as at April 2024 to rectify for this circumstance. Because, for all that I've said about Christian Horner, he is no fool and he understands what it is to be in urgent circumstance. They are at DEFCON 5. Here's what Christian Horner is facing, and he realises it all of a sudden this weekend just passed. The downside risk of losing one Adrian Newey, the goatiest aerodynamic mind to have ever aerodynamicked. Here's what the downside is. It's a double whammy, a 6-pointer if you're talking about football. Not only do you lose the knowledge that Adrian Newey's carried, again, 10,000 hour levels, nobody has more extensive the breadth of knowledge as far as mitigating for the rules and building a god tier car. You not only do you lose that knowledge if Adrian Newey tests the market, and again, lest we forget, Aston Martin have offered him 25 million a year for 4 years, starting as of 2027. Christian now realises not only do you lose Adrian Newey's knowledge, there's your downside, but you lose him to one of your protagonists, one of your key rivals. Imagine for a second that Adrian Newey leaves Red Bull and ends up working under Toto Wolff as an example. It's a double whammy. That cannot make sense for Christian Horner. Ergo, if you are Horner, if we put on our Red Bull caps for a second, you pay that dude whatever he wants, if not to just keep him out of the grubby hands of the other 9 teams. Because you can't afford for all that knowledge to just transfer out of Red Bull. Specialist knowledge, key man dependency knowledge. You can afford to lose Dan Fallows, that's a different thing. But Adrian Newey, come on. We know who that guy is. We've read the book How to Build a Car. Again, for the avoidance of doubt, one of the goatiest racing minds to ever have F1'd. Red Bull cannot afford to lose that dude. They're paying him, underpaying him even, to the tune of 10-15 million, since Aston Martin are prepared to pay that dude 25 million a year. 10 million a year isn't good enough. Adrian Newey has tested the market now, and Christian Horner and Red Bull find themselves in a race in the short term. It is DEFCON 5. Adrian Newey is the MVP. He is the principal influence as far as deciding which way the championship's going to go for the next few years, short, medium and long term, or as long as he chooses to hang around. Ergo, Christian, it's time to get your politicking bag out, mate. If ever there was a time to get your politicking back out, to foster the rapport of one Adrian Newey, to manage his wife's stakehold, to grant her paddock passes, not to diminish, nor minimalise, nor trivialise the contribution of Adrian Newey as far as the RB18, rear suspension, chassis 19 and 20, then that time, chat, is now. The F1 world waits and watches to see whether Christian Horner can pull this one off, to seize victory from the jaws of defeat, just like he did in 2021 by finessing one Michael Massey in the closing stages of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But between now and then, the prosecution rests. No further questions, Your Honour.